This video is sponsored by Luminar. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike Sasser, boudoir photographer in Los Angeles, California. And in this video, I'm gonna show you 4 photography editing tools you didn't know you needed. So make sure you watch till the end because I'm saving the best for last and I'm going to show you how to get 10% off of the software. So a couple of months ago, I made a video about Luminar and how I use it in my own personal business workflow. If you want to see that incredibly helpful video, you can go ahead and click the link above. This included things like brightening eyes, brightening faces, skin smoothing, adding contrast to hair, all automatically. Being able to batch edit with all of those AI tools has really saved me a ton of time. But now let's get into the other parts of the software and show you the tools you didn't even know you needed. If you find yourself shooting in small spaces often, I actually realize a lot of photographers are doing this. I just came out with an entire section of my Double Your Poses course dedicated to shooting in rooms smaller than 100 square feet. And this is going to be something that can add depth, life, interest to those maybe more boring images because you don't have a whole lot to work with. So this photo has something going for it. It's got really, really good light, but there's not a lot of depth. It's really just this highlight in her face and the rest is a little bit blurry. So one of the ways we can add interest to this is to add a new layer over here. We can add flares, light leaks, sparkles, and stardust. And what I really love about the way Luminar does it is that it makes it so easy. Now I've clicked through a bunch of these before and my favorite one is this here. Now how real and natural does that look? But it is absolutely right over her forehead and that is not where I want it to be. That's no problem. You don't need to grab any corners or turn things around. You could just swap from left to right here. Now we have a little bit of motion, we've got some more interest, we've got some more depth. Our eyes being led into her expression, which is gonna make this a more powerful photo. This can obviously be done with other software, but to already have a bunch of presets in here, and these aren't even all of them, see all, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is that 24 light leaks, stardust bokeh, sparklers, all of these different looks that will be easily just click and add, and instantly you've got a more dreamy, interesting, you know, minus the hearts. Don't know if I'd recommend the hearts. I don't know, maybe you'd want the hearts. To each their own, but this is like a surefire, easy, one-click way to add instant interest into your flatter, less interesting pictures. All right, so for this photo shoot, we actually had to get up at like 3 in the morning and drive out to the desert to be able to capture the galaxy like this. Okay, just kidding, that's not what it actually was. This is just a clear blue sky day. But holy crap, you can just put galaxies in your pictures now. And you do it very similarly to the way we added the flares. So let me show you how to do that. So if you just go into the edit menu, we're gonna see all the different things that your typical standard photo editor has and very easy to understand. And as we go down, we're gonna see creative and we're gonna go down to this sky section. In this sky, we can do a replacement of the sky. We're gonna click on that and scroll through, and they've got regular blue clouds, they've got all kinds of things down to sunsets, down to galaxies. So let's go ahead and select this galaxy. And that is all you have to do. There are things you can do, like change the position of the sky. You can fix some of the issues in the mask if you need to, but this honestly looks really pretty clean. And then scene relighting gives you the ability to relight the scene based on the color in the sky. So if we go full here, you're gonna see it adds a lot more pink into these colors. And if we go down to 0, these are back to more greens. So this will just give it a more unified feel, but this is going to make your sky replacements look really authentic. You can even make it more out of focus if that would make it look more authentic for the lens choice that you had, if the mountains in the background are already blurry. So that would make sense that the sky in the background would be blurry as well. Because look, you can't choose the way the clouds are gonna look on the day that you're going out to shoot. So sometimes that ultra boring, you know, solid color blue sky isn't what you need in your picture. Now our next tool is going to allow us to add in something that I love having in so many of my pictures. Any chance I get to have some kind of a sun flare, in my photos, I'm going for it. Now in a picture like this where there actually is sun, you can see the harsh sun coming in here and the harsh sun out here, but it's not hitting our lens. We can create that. Before we do, I just want to show you this intermediate tool that I think is really incredible. So she's a little dark in here, and what you might normally do is just go in here, something like this, and just grab the shadows and bring them up. But you end up kind of losing some of the character. The shadows come up, but loses the contrast. Luminar has this new tool called Relight. So let's go ahead and click on Relight, and you can choose to brighten the near part of the image or the far part of the image. It creates a depth map instead of dealing with only shadows or highlights. So because it knows that this part of the image is closer than this part of the image, when we bring up brightness near, it's going to register that she and everything in front of her are closer to the image, and that's going to get brightened up. So that also brightens up the highlights as well, that brightens up this little area on her hip, that brightens up her hair. And so the overall contrast of the image stays intact. It just brightens up anything that's closer to the image. Big fan of that tool. Big fan of that tool. That's tip 3A. Now again, in this creative section, we're gonna click on sun rays and place the sun center. So you can choose where you want this sun to be coming from. Because I can tell with this line here that the sun's going to be coming from up here, that's where we're going to be placing the sun. So let's go ahead and add our sun. You can go kind of real nuts. Let's just go real nuts at first. You can see at 100% that it affects the image in the way the sun might. It might bring up some of the shadows areas because as the sun enters your lens, it brightens all of the pixels. The overall look, we make that really extreme, or we can control how much of that we want it to actually affect. Strength of the sun rays, how long are they gonna go for? Penetration, how thin or wide are they going to be? Beautiful. So let's do something a little bit more realistic here. Maybe in there I like. Let's refine the sun. So let's go ahead here, sun radius. We're gonna bring this up. So that'll make it a little bit more pleasing there. I think the glow is fine. And the sun glow amount is also fine. Ray settings, you can choose the number of rays. I thought it was fine where it was. Then we can also add a little warmth to the sun and to the sun rays. So with that, let's see our before and after. So I really think that's incredible how much it made a difference in this image. If you look over here in this section, that's beautiful. If you look over here in this section, absolutely gives this image more life. Okay, this tool, I actually have no idea how it works, and I think it's going to solve the problem for a lot of photographers. And this image is going to be the perfect example to show you. This is a beautiful image. However, it's a little bit flat. There's not a ton of contrast in her skin. And if I want to add more contrast in her skin and in her to make her pop, so how do you add contrast to the midtones without affecting the rest of the image? Typically some options of what you could do are, you'd have to, let's say, you use the curves for something like this, you do something like this. But then, if we look at a before and after, you can see we're losing now almost lost the whole horizon here, we're losing the mountains here. Her face rim light is now pretty gone, her hair is now too dark. This has been part of what's difficult about editing an image like this, is how do you affect only the midtones? Well, if we go on the right to this toolbar and scroll all the way down, there's a section called Super Contrast, which has specifically shadows contrast, midtones contrast, and highlights contrast. I wish I knew how these tools worked because they're so good. So the midtones contrast will literally only add contrast to the mids. So if we go extreme on this, let's crank it. If we remove this, you can see the sky is basically completely untouched. We get a little bit of contrast in here, which is definitely a nice added bonus. Let's check the wood in here. Also some added contrast. You can see we see the shadow here a little bit better, and her skin as well. We've got more interesting and more depth in her skin. It is a little dark, so under the midtones balance, we can scroll here to the left just a little bit, and that will brighten up those mids. So here is our before and after. It's so bizarre that it only very specifically affects that area because that's the area that I need it to. So I really just think that's magical. The number of times I've tried to spend with the shadows, highlights, blacks, whites, curves, brushes to be able to get good mid-tone contrast. It's not pretty, you guys. It's not pretty. So that it's all on a slider now is just magic. So if you want to check out Luminar, check out the link in the description. It's gonna give you guys 10% off. I love all of those tools. And this doesn't even cover the rest of this, what the software can do. The AI portrait tools, making things incredibly easy and, all of its sliders, things like that, but for everything else in the software. Basically things that you used to have to mask are now just automatically done because of the AI. And tell me which one of these editing tools you imagine using in your workflow. Which one did you think was most interesting? Which one do you think will be most useful? Tell me how you plan to use it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.